We only have 2 weeks left on this 100-day journey, so it's time to talk about finishing the draft. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me on this 100-day journey. I can't believe we're already starting the 13th week of this journey. We are staring down the finish line of finishing. Whether you've just found me today or you've been with me for the entire 86 days or wherever you are in between those, I'm just so glad that you're here. I hope you are finding inspiration and that this has been helpful to you as you become confident that you truly can write your book draft. And I hope you found the inspiration to write your book in your busy life. We need this community of writers. Well, today I want to talk about finishing the draft. Yes, we are getting close. If you write 500 words a day for 100 days, you get a 50,000 word draft. And we're getting really close. Now, yours may be longer or shorter. It may take you a little more, a little less time. There's nothing magical about day 100, but it's a really nice section of time and it gives us hope that we can finish our drafts. So here you are, you're getting close. So the end is when you have finished writing your last chapter. Now, your draft is not going to be complete. At least mine never are. There are small sections that still aren't written. There are little facts that I still need to research and find. There are little tidbits that aren't finished. There are things that are missing. There are holes in the manuscript. There are places where the pacing isn't right. There are places usually where I just have a bullet point list that I still haven't fully fleshed out. But when that last chapter is written, that is the point that we call the draft finished. Now, we need that kind of arbitrary line in the sand because otherwise we would continue working on it and tweaking it way past when we should. You see, the reality is that your energy and your enthusiasm for writing your draft tends to kind of peter out about this point. You're usually about tired of the project, you're ready to be done. And so we just need to draw a line in the sand and say, this is done. Now, the entire book manuscript isn't finished. We still have the editing to do, but we need a place where we call the draft finished. And that is when you have finished the last chapter. Now, I know that this is an uncomfortable distinction. It is for me, but it's been tremendously helpful for me to decide that that is when it is finished. You see, the reason it's uncomfortable is because I know that it is not finished, that it is not done, that this is not complete. I am well aware that there are holes in it. Sometimes I'm aware of exactly what those holes in the manuscript are, those unfinished places are. And sometimes I just have this niggling sense that something isn't quite right and I still need to address it. But at this point, it is counterproductive to really focus on those things. When you are tired of the project, when you are ready to be done, you are not doing your highest quality work. So let's call the draft finished so we can move to a place where we can do that quality work in the draft. Now, I am not saying just do a halfway job and have, entire chapters that aren't written and have huge missing sections. I am not saying that at all. But I am saying that if there are still places that aren't written in your draft, you still have permission to call it finished. In fact, I would highly encourage you to do that so that you can move on to the next stage. But it may feel pretty uncomfortable because it's not done. That's okay. That is why we are actually drawing this line in the sand and why we are distinguishing that this is the place where it is done. Well, once you have finished your draft, I recommend that you do two very important things. The first is that you go back to the beginning of it and you read the entire thing through. The second thing that I suggest you do is that you set it aside for a while until you can come back with fresh eyes and a little more energy and enthusiasm for the project. You need that break from your manuscript in order to come back and do that quality work. And at that point, you're going to address every hole in the manuscript. You're going to address every place where it's not quite right. You're going to craft your words to make them read as better prose. You have time to do all of those things. But if you have the expectation that you're going to do all of those things before calling the draft finished, you're going to sabotage your writing work. So don't do that. Finish the last chapter, read through the manuscript, and then set it aside. The draft is done. This is the point that we actually are going to change our terminology. So we're going to move from calling this a draft of a book to a manuscript. You see, a manuscript is something you are preparing for publishing. A draft is just that. It's just your rough draft, your beginning ideas. You can't do the editing that you need to do until you have a draft. You can't craft the words until the words are out. You can't make it better until you have something to make better. So the draft is done when the last chapter is written. Read through it, rest, and get ready because we'll be editing later. All right, that's an overview of the finish phase, finishing your draft. We're going to spend the next few videos really breaking those pieces down and talking about why they're important. So if you want to learn more about the finishing phase of the writing process, check out this video.